everybody, and welcome to another episode of Paulist InFormation. I'm Mike Cruikshank, one of the Paulist seminarians. I'm a first-year student here, and with us today we have Father Gil Martinez, who's the pastor of our mother church, St. Paul the Apostle in New York City. Thank you for being with us, Gil.
Delighted to be here.
Oh, good. So, as you know, this is a channel about vocations and discernment, and so we wanted to start off maybe hearing a little bit about your vocation story. Did you feel the quintessential call that a lot of people feel?
Yeah. It's not a voice exactly, but there is a call. It's not a text or it's not a cell phone call, but there is a deep sense of an awareness of being called out of myself. That's how I experienced it. But I always experienced God in nature, so that's where I first discovered it. Just being close to God, and at first I felt it just being closer to something bigger than me, bigger than myself, and through those experiences, working outdoors, living outdoors, and my previous work, I came to find experience something that asked me to go deeper. So.
Yeah. And what was your previous work? What were you doing before you joined seminary?
I lived an exciting life. I was a national park ranger at the Grand Canyon and at Big Bend and Redwood National Parks in California. So I lived at these wonderful places. One of my jobs was being a backcountry ranger at the Grand Canyon, where I just lived near the bottom and rescued people and and hiked and helped people and got to observe nature firsthand and in all kinds of ways, especially living in the outdoors and doing a lot of hiking. So I was very up close to it. Because for me, it was I was raised Catholic, but I had, after college I stopped going to church. A part of it I was exploring and just trying to find my own faith, my own sense of faith, rather than not only my parents and my family, but what it meant for me. And outdoors, that's where I found it. And so I always like to tell people that I lived on the north rim of the Grand Canyon. To go to Mass, I had to hike 20 miles to go to Mass in the snow.
And then dedication.
Yeah, and then 20 miles back, So it became such a spiritual experience, really. Just, hiking so far to go to Mass, and experiencing kind of words and images for that call, for something bigger than me, and it all started to come together. So that's how I first, I think, really got in touch with all of that.
Yeah. And so it sounds like it came through sort of a natural experience, and then you decided to join seminary. Why the Paulists? How did you find the Paulists?
I met them at UC Berkeley. I did my undergraduate work there in forestry, conservation natural resources. And I went to college at Berkeley in 1976, and I remember being profoundly moved by the Paulists because we used to have these 10 o'clock masses, candlelight masses on Sunday night. And first time I went there, it was the first time I heard a homily that had anything to do with my life. And I realized faith is not just going to church because I had to, and just going because I was going through the motions a lot. We prayed a lot. My family prayed a lot, and I felt like I was prayerful. Mainly praying to win a basketball game or those kinds of things. But nonetheless, I had some connection. And but there, I found these men that were just committed to making the Word come alive in the world today, which kind of made it exciting. Because usually for me, being Catholic meant Sundays at 10 o'clock Mass, or during Lent, good stations across all those things, which are wonderful. But it became bigger all of a sudden. It had a lot to do with all of my experiences. So that's where I met the Paulists, and was challenged by them in many ways, and attracted and repulsed, everything, But it just because it was so engaging, I found it just an amazing experience.
Mm-hmm. And now it's brought you to 20 plus years with the Paulists, and and you are the pastor of the
Mother Church.
the Mother Church, the first church.
Yeah.
How is that? How long have you been there, and how have you liked it, and what kind of things do you guys do there?
It's exciting. I'm in my ninth year in New York City, from the wilds of Grand Canyon to the wild canyons of New York City skyscrapers. But and at first I didn't think I would take to it, but I love it. I love it. It's an amazing place, and as a Paulist in a particular way, I mean it's the church that Hecker built, and Isaac Hecker is buried there along with many of the early Paulists are entombed in the church. So I always feel like Hecker's present, and sometimes you walk in that church and I almost hear the swishing of the of the habits, just you hear a sound or wind, and just like there's a presence there. So and it's such a beautiful. We've all been to the church. It's so beautiful. It's amazing artwork done by 19th and 20th century artists that is unparalleled in American Catholicism. I think one of the cardinals in New York was proud to say this is the best church in Christendom. So I like that. But it's an exciting parish. It's vibrant. It's right in the heart of Manhattan. We have many young adults. Many people are searching. I feel akin to them because I felt like I was searching when I was at the Grand Canyon and watching amazing sunrises and sunsets and hiking and being among nature. There's a sense of search, and I think in that search is where you hear the call. So there's a large community like that. There's a large Hispanic community there, very vibrant as well. We reach out to artists, to students at Fordham and Juilliard, and we have this just great mix of people all along the journey. But one of our oldest parishioners, she's 95, and she's been a parishioner for 65 years. And she doesn't miss me. She's there every Sunday, and she's like, Sometimes when we have baptism during Mass, I'll have her make the sign of the cross on the baby's forehead, and it's so stunning because she walks up there and she, along with the parents, and it kind of draws all the generations together. It's just so amazing. So it's a really vibrant, active community. Young adults, old people, a lot of Hispanic people, Mass in Spanish, a lot of outreach to choirs, groups, and students. Through the Paulist, we have amazing outreach to artists through our openings program. It's amazing to see the church being used for contemporary art right next to this more kind of typical religious art, and have conversations with people who would never dream of darkening the door of a church, but here they are talking to priests and nuns about spirituality, about life and love, and what art is and what it expresses. So it's such an amazing place.
Yeah, I mean, and on any given night, you can walk into that building and there could be a mass going on. There could be an art show. There could be a dance performance. Lots of different things. So it's
exactly.
It's quite the place. Yeah. Now you mentioned a little bit about your own discernment process and how nature played a big factor in that. Yeah. Do you have any tips for anybody that might be out there watching on how they can go about their own discernment?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I feel like I was like St. Francis a little bit of talking to the animals. Yeah. I did. They would never talk to me back. Otherwise, they'd be someplace else.
It's a good sign.
But it's a good sign. So, but I think that was it. I mean, one of the things that happened to me there, as I started to have these kind of the sensibility about feeling called in another direction, I talked to the local pastor there, and he says, "You need to talk about it. You need to talk about it. Get a spiritual director. Talk about your prayer life and what's going on in your life. The pluses, the minuses, the challenges, the great difficulties, the great joys. Talk about all of that, and talk to people of faith, and just share your story and listen to other people's story, listen to everyone's story." So I really took that to heart. I actually asked for a transfer to a national park in a city so that I could be in a church, that I could not have to hike 20 miles to a church, but. Partly, but also just to be around and work. I worked in a soup kitchen, and I worked with this amazing nun, and I would just ask her about her faith and her vocation. How did you find it? How did you hear it? And I began to see my story through the light of other people's stories, and So that became very important to me. I think that was one of the biggest things. I think that taking time to pray, for me at the time, it meant to be quiet a lot, because I wanted to learn the right prayers, and I used to walk around doing the rosary, which was very powerful. But I also learned to just be quiet and just try to listen. So, but I learned that in nature too.
Yeah.
So there's in a lot of ways there's no response to this incredible beauty you see, or I saw. I would just be quiet and be still. So I think those are.
Oh, great! No, that sounds like great advice. So, thank you very much for coming to talk with us today, and thank you all out there for tuning in to another episode of Paulist InFormation. Please like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and we'll see you again sometime soon. Thank you.
Thank you.